The first thing I need to ask is, I've heard so much about how big of a fans the two of you are. And, obviously, I would imagine a bit of racing on The Amazing Race was in part due to, of course, Karishma, your sort of like take life by the horns attitude that you've had with the loss of your parents. But my question is, what led you to The Amazing Race? What made you two decide to go together? Is this something you had been wanting to do for a while?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'll let
you wanna go?
Kishori start and then I'll finish because it makes more sense.
Okay. So I grew up watching the show with friends and family. I started watching when I was like 6. So I was a super fan. And I just thought, why don't I just submit an audition tape? Why not? And I originally applied with like one of my guy friends from college. And then Joy Gordo from casting called me up and she was like, hey, like, do you have like a sister or like a female teammate? Because we really want an all girl team. And I was like, I don't have a sister, but I have a cousin who I consider like my sister. And she's super spontaneous and adventurous. And like, I think she'd be great in entertainment. And then from there, the process went on, and Krishna can continue the story. But I called her up, and you can
Yeah.
finish.
So Kishori actually, so I was studying abroad on semester at sea when she first called me. And I always think it's full circle because I was sailing and there was a huge storm. I was supposed to be out in the middle of the ocean. So when we're out sailing, you have no cell service at all. Like you're out for a couple of days. And the captain was like, there's a huge storm tonight in Portugal. We're going to be staying put tonight. So that meant I had cell service. So I was in the library studying and Kishori calls me. She's like, pick up the phone right now. And I was like, what's going on? So it's just like, be by yourself, be in a room by yourself. So I go up to the top of the ship, like we're ported in Portugal. I'm like in the rain. And I was like, what's going on? She goes, we're getting on a call with the casting producer for The Amazing Race. Do you want to do it? And I was like, oh, of course I want to do it. That sounds amazing. That sounds so fun. And from like after that, I got on the call. Joy loved both of us together. And then we went forward with the process,
Yeah.
and the rest is history.
Oh my God. Well, let's fast forward from where it all began to where it all ended because, I think that obviously there was a lot of struggle happening with that skateboard building roadblock, a bit at the detour as well. But listen, it wasn't the first nor the last time that you both had sort of like fallen behind, but somehow been able to escape by the skin of your teeth. So, what was going through your head? Was there still that like sense of hope, or was there really, okay, we're the last to leave the roadblock. We're probably getting eliminated here?
For me, I think going on The Amazing Race, just watching so many seasons and knowing it's like it is not over until it's over. And so when I did the skateboard and I was building it, and I knew I was the last person to leave, but I still had hope. I was like, okay, everybody's as chaotic as us, as you can see watching the seasons. Like people are messing up, people are, getting lost. Like something happens and you can't just get it. So it's like I told Kishore, was like, from the moment we left the skateboard, I was like, we are gonna keep racing. We're not gonna put our heads down. Like this is it. Like, let's keep going. We never know. Like, we've been getting, like, that's just how it worked out for the rest of the episode. So it was like, who knows? We could totally make it. It's The Amazing Race. Like, anything can happen. So I really wasn't getting down on myself after I left the skateboard. I was like, we're still in this. It is not over until Phil comes and gets us. And he never did that. So that's okay. We made it to the ending and we crossed the finish line. So I had my head up the entire time in hopes that maybe something would happen and we'd make it.
Yeah. So then, Kishori, go ahead. I was going to say that's sort of compounded by also the fact, like, all right, we'll keep going. Also, oh no, I have to climb this wall and I have a fear
I
of heights.
know. Yeah, no, I think for me, it was interesting because almost every episode we were like riding the back of the pack. But you know what? We always made it every episode. Like we were skin of our teeth, but we kept fighting and kept pushing forward. And so like I think we had that mentality of like, okay, we're not gonna give up. Like we never know. And every other episode we've made it. So like
Yeah.
you don't know what happens.
It's so true. I mean, I want to get your thoughts on that because look, I'm sure you did not apply, stand on a boat in Portugal to say yes, to expect, okay, we're consistently going to be bringing up the rear, making these big errors, yet overcoming them. So, like, from your own perspective, what was that like? How tough was it to sort of find that mentality of like, all right, we made another mistake, but let's keep going because maybe other people will make mistakes too?
Think it was just complete chaos for us. Like, I think the mentality behind it was we are just chaotic in general, so it only makes sense for us to go through this in a chaotic way. but like we had so much fun doing it. And I'll never forget, like me and Kishore just think about it, like if we were to do the race again, anything I think I should have taken in terms of the roadblock, just give it to Kishore and
We
vice
would have
versa
swapped.
because
We would have swapped. She's
she
like,
did everything I was gonna do. Like all the
yeah,
things she was good at, I was taking. I was like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding? Another puzzle? Are you kidding me? More directions? Are you kidding me? Like building something like these are all the things when we left for the race beforehand. We are like, okay, this is X, Y, and Z. I was like, me, I can jump off anything. I'm not scared of anything. I'll do anything with fear.
yeah.
Like, I'll take all of those. And Kishore was like, she'll take all the brain games, the puzzles, the direction stuff. We get there. And it was just complete opposite. So it was funny how that all worked out. But it makes sense for us to race that way. It only makes sense for Kishore and I to race that way, honestly.
Absolute chaos. But it definitely, it does check out for us. I was also gonna say, like, in general, like, because I think Kirshman's obviously gone through like trials and tribulations in life, and like we each had our own like things and problems and challenges. I think that just makes us even stronger and very independent individuals. And so we have this mentality of not giving up, but also like it's okay to be the underdog because the underdog
Mhm.
still fights their way to the finish line, right? And so I was really proud of how far we came together. But Kirsten was right. Like we did laugh. And I was talking about this yesterday, but we did laugh because at the end of the race, we were like joking. Every challenge that I said I would do, she should have taken. And every challenge she said she would do, she should have taken. So, or I should have taken. It was just funny how it all went down. But again, that's the race. It's chaotic. It's unpredictable. You really just don't know like what curveballs are going to be thrown your way.
Yeah, what did that
Exactly.
come yeah, what did that come down to? Because yeah, it really did seem like through this skateboard challenge, it was like you're saying, "Oh, I know I do art. Let me do this challenge. Oh no, it's not art. I ride skateboards. Let me do this challenge. Oh no, it's building a skateboard." Was there a certain point where you're
You
like,
just
"All right,
don't
we're gonna do
know.
the opposite?"
Like, I think if we would have made it another leg, I would have just been like, "Kishore, take it." Like, I'm not doing it anymore. Like, I'm tired.
Yeah,
But yeah, it was just crazy because we in Colombia, it was like, who's feeling artsy? And when we pulled up to the place, I was like, there was like I could see kind of stands behind. I saw all these sculptures. I'm like, what if they make me do a sculpture and just like
pottery.
remake it by hand? I was like, I can knock that out in maybe 2 minutes. Like,
Yeah.
I've been doing ceramics my whole life. I can throw a bowl in like 3 minutes. Like it's that stuff comes easy to me. I was like, okay, it's art. I can do art. And then the skateboarding, I was so nervous because we got there and it was a skate park. I'm like, what else are they gonna have us do? I was like, I can
Yeah.
skateboard. This is great. This works out great for me. And then it just wasn't. So I mean, yeah, I think after that we kind of went forward with like, okay, if we make it out of this alive, we talked about it. I was like, everything I think I should do, I'm just gonna give to Kishori.
I think it's also trusting your gut and just like giving it to the other person. Cause like I hesitated, like on the skateboard challenge, like
Mm.
I was going to do it and then I like hesitated for a second because I was like, oh my God, Krishna grew up skateboarding. Like, what if it's skateboarding? And then I like fall, like, I don't know, like fall at first. So like you just, again, you really don't know what you're going to get. And you just have to hope for the best and try your best.
Well, I think something that you recently had to try on the leg that eliminated you was driving stick. And from the edit, at least, you seem to be the only team, momentarily at least, that had troubles with it. Was that reminiscent? Like, did you just have a brief blip, or was this an all-day struggle? Because I know, Karishma, you had like just learned to drive stick before going
Yeah.
out.
So I
It
think
was
it's
dramatized. It was like
It was
4 minutes long.
traumatized. I think it's
Oh.
funny going into it because so one, like I had never so we both agreed that I was gonna drive because Kishore grew up in DC and she didn't get her license until she was like what, 23, something like that. So I was
I
like, oh, I
agree.
can take the car stuff. I've been like literally I got my hardship growing up. So I've been driving since I was 15. I was like, okay, I can do this. I'll learn stick. And so I took lessons going forward. I took like 7 lessons. And I think it's funny when people talk about it, they're like, oh, why don't you just go get a stick shift car and drive it everywhere? I'm like, it's not that easy to find a stick shift car, and for
Yeah.
one, rent it out or take it, or, like, people don't have stick shift cars anymore, and so I had one friend who had one, and obviously, like, he's not gonna let me go drive his stick shift car on the highway when
Yeah.
I'm just now learning, so he let me go around the parking lot, I learned that, and then I took lessons, and I felt, like,
And the
pretty
lessons were expensive too. The lessons were
they were
not cheap to
expensive. I
take.
dropped maybe like like a grand on stick shift lessons. Like it is expensive
It's
and people think
expensive.
it's easy and accessible. I'm like, it's not. There's just no stick shift cars anymore unless you have one. And so going forward, I was like, okay, I felt confident in like doing the stick shift. But like people don't think about like we left for the race and you do that portion where you're doing all your press stuff before you leave for the race. Then we went to Mexico, then we went to Colombia. And so it was a while before I got back into the stick shift car and I was like, oh shoot,
Mm.
like it was like stick shift stage fright is what I called it. It was like, "Oh, crap," and on top of it, it was a Volkswagen. So the gears were different than, like, a
Right.
normal stick where I think, like, 1st and 2nd gear so, like, I had the car at the beginning and 2nd gear in the entire time because I just couldn't get it into 1st, and so that scene where I'm, like, messing up and I'm trying to get it in to 1st was that moment, but after that, like, I was good. I felt like I
You
was
know,
pretty good driving.
she did a really good job, but also if you look at the edit, it's interesting because they did swap it. So, like, they show us in the car as if, like, we hadn't gotten to the detour yet. That scene happened at the detour. I don't know if you remember, Christian, we were parking for the detour, that happened
Yeah,
at
I was
the
wondering why the
detour,
cameraman had like
and
an external view of you
then
parking.
She got out, it
switched
was
to the
funny. I think it was
city.
just like, "She struggled, Imma get out." I was like, honestly, I would do the same if I was the cameraman.
Yeah, I mean, but then it switched to the city view, so it's really dramatized to make it seem like it was, like, multiple, but it really was that just that moment, like, that moment
Yeah, I
of
think that's when I struggled the most. There were a couple times where, yes, I stalled out, but I think relatively to, like, past people who have really messed up sick, I think
Yeah.
they pulled us in as that team, and I could get it, but, like, by the end of it, like, after the first, like, maybe, 30, 45 minutes of driving, I felt like I kind of got the hang of it and I was fine.
I'm super intrigued because we get this brief blip in Colombia where like Angie and Danny, you two make your way to the detour together. Derek and Shalisa help you when it comes to identifying the meats. We see other teams like explicitly working together. Did you ever have that relationship with other teams, or was it just kind of like a hey, help me out when you can?
Oh, yes, 100%. We had many alliances, like, throughout the race that weren't showed, like, Juan and Shane, like, them helping us in, Mexico when, like, we went to the
Make a
wrong
challenge.
when we
Yeah.
got it backwards. They were somebody we felt really close with. And then, Derek and Shalise, I'd say were probably our closest allies throughout the whole race. Like, in
Yeah.
Colombia, when we did that puzzle, me and Shalisa did that whole puzzle together. It just wasn't shown. We did that entire
Yeah.
puzzle together. And there's a scene where, like, Shalisa, I'm running around.
Crying.
She's crying because 'cause I'm running around memorizing the statues, but I wasn't there at the time. And she's like, I didn't know Kishori told me this after, but she was saying, Karishma, Karishma. And I'm running and
Yeah.
she got to check. And because she got the check, they closed it and they wouldn't let me see it. And we were working together the entire time.
Yeah, I
So
was
it's really
surprised they
interesting how
didn't
that
show
was
that.
edited.
I was surprised they didn't show that because it was like a huge dramatic moment. Like Shalisa was literally like crying, like calling out for Karishma to like to basically because they were working together to like to help her, right? And they had been tag teaming, and like the guy, like they literally closed the blinds. Like
Because
at
she
the
got
same
her
time
check and I wasn't there,
Yeah,
and so that was interesting the way yeah, because we worked really close with them,
yeah,
yeah, I would say that was probably our biggest alliance throughout the race, and then
yeah.
the skateboard challenge, I worked with Derek. Derek was telling me how to move like, use the tools, Derek was telling like, he was helping me out a lot during that challenge, so yeah, they were probably our
Mm,
biggest alliance throughout the whole race. We love them so much.
We call them race
interesting.
mom and dad.
We call them mom and dad.
Yeah, and they were basically your kids, they said, so that makes
Yeah,
sense.
Yeah.
Well, last thing I want to ask, speaking on that note of family, obviously, you two have this very interesting relationship, especially for cousins, but racing around the world together is an experience in and of itself. What did you learn the most about the other person racing around the world together? Kishori, let's start with you.
okay. I think I learned a lot about Karishma. I think as a team, we are like very out there go getters. But I think Karishma, something that I love about her is she literally like grabs life by the balls and like is very spontaneous. And I
Oh.
think that's something that I've like picked up from her, like just to just really like continue to live life to the fullest and be like push boundaries and push limits. And I think that's what makes our relationship so fun is like out of our family we really are like we do embody that like chaotic spirit and like living life to the fullest and I feel like karishma's like Karishma's zest for life is something that I've definitely like admired and picked up on.
Oh,
What
thanks,
about you,
Kish.
Krishma?
Yeah, for Kishori, I think I learned of truly how patient Kishori is throughout the race because she had so much patience with me. Like, come on now. Like, I was struggling in a lot of these roadblocks. She was sitting there crying at the puzzle challenge. She's sitting there waiting for me to build a skateboard, but like, she could have been mean. Like, we could have gone home and she was like, you kind of messed this race up for us. Or like, maybe if you didn't do it, like, she was never like ill willed to me the entire time. Like, she was always so positive. She's like, everything happened for a reason. We did this race.
Yeah.
We had fun together. And I felt apologetic because I did feel like at the end where we got out, if I would have given Kishori that task, maybe we would have made it out and who knows what would have happened.
Yeah, but
But
you
she never
never
made
know.
me,
You really
yeah.
don't know what's gonna
But
happen.
she never made me feel guilty about that. And that's when I really learned Kishori is just very patient. She's very loving. Like she does act as like an older sister to me. Like throughout the entire race, Kishori was in the room, like, you need to drink this water, you need to take this medicine, you need to drink these vitamins, like you need to eat. And like I was just like, okay. And she was washing my clothes in the bathtub. Like she was really taking care of me. While you know how I am, I'm just like, okay, whatever, like sure, okay, like just saying yes to everything. So our
Oh,
dynamic was really fun to discover, and all
it
the
was
time we
very
spent
fun.
together was
Uh,
just, it was a blast. I loved
you
every
took
minute of it.
I mean, you took the words right out of my mouth that it was such a fun dynamic for even us to watch. And I loved every minute of
Oh,
getting to see the Chaos Cousins on screen. I wish we were talking when you were $1 million richer, but I feel like
that's okay.
we're 1 million minutes richer, I think, in getting to watch
Oh,
everything that happened over the course of these 5 legs. I have so much love for the two of you, not only as racers, but as people. And I'm thrilled that I got the chance to talk with you both today. This was so much fun.
Oh,
thank you
thank you,
so much.
Mike.
That means so much to us.
Of
Yeah, it
course.
does. It was so good
Well,
chatting with you.